He's nasty. I don't know. They got what's his name? Sorry, starts with an S. I can't think of it.
Shitstorm. Shitstorm.
So yeah,
no,
that's it.
That's Russo.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
All right, we are live. I'm gonna go ahead and share this real quick, and we'll get started.
Yeah.
Sure.
And I got some really good pictures from some still shots from Raw the other night. They're funny. Because I actually had an issue when I first got on. I had a great fucking seat. The one I sent you, and it showed me taking a picture of myself.
Don't waste all this stuff in the pregame, for God's sakes.
Oh, yeah, my bad.
Where do we get on here, pal?
It just came to mind, pal.
We're live, pal.
Oh, that's right. We're live. See what happens when you tune in early, people?
I know, you get little previews and stuff. All right, tell everybody your experience with being in the Thunderdome. I want to hear all, because I got this text and Brian was so excited. Look, they've accepted me. I'm going to be in the Thunderdome, and then tell me what happened.
and honestly, I just did it on a whim because I maybe 4 or 5 days before the show. So I got the notice that said the call time was 7 o'clock, and that was the day of Raw. They said I would get an email saying that what my call time was, and if the call time says I think on call, then that meant that you just had to keep calling in or keep trying to enter in, and it was kind of if anybody dropped out kind of thing, So I got a call time of 7 o'clock and got in there and got my seat, and it was clicked right in there. It took a few seconds to get into there. It was like how it spins when you click on, and it was spinning, and I wasn't sure if I was connecting or not because it took like 5 minutes, and 5 minutes trying to connect something is like 5 days. So it is, and I was trying to figure that out. So finally, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna click out and click back in again, because you get your own individual website, right?
Right.
The one they send you is your own, and nobody else has it. So I clicked back on it, and it started spinning again, but it held. It wasn't as long, and I got in, and I could see the show, and like a background, like a Smack or Raw background, and then the mediator came on, I guess, talking to everybody. Saying, okay, we got 1 minute before we come on. We'll be live, with SmackDown or with main event. Sorry, this was they taped main event, record main event before 30 minutes before Raw, and it started out with Ricochet and somebody, I can't remember who it was, but my man, the picture I sent you, that's the picture that when I initially got in there, and it was a great, man. It was like if you're on the hard camera side and looking like you're looking at the TV,
right.
I'm like right on the upper right side, just pretty as you please. I mean, I had a great seat. And after that match, right after the bell rang, and Ricochet was like getting out of the ring, the picture froze. I'm like, what the hell? I'm like, is this going to be one of these things that, I might have to enter in every fucking time or something, the stream's going to be bad and all this stuff. So I sat there for a second hoping it would clear up, and it didn't. I'm like, okay, I'm going to do what I did before and just click out and click back in, see what happens. If I don't get back in, then so be it. This is all on a whim anyway. So click back in, and god dang, I got right in. Probably quicker this time than I did getting in right before the main event. It was weird.
There's the picture you sent me. People are watching.
Yeah.
There you are. Right.
That's it. I mean, is that not a great freaking?
It's a good.
It's perfect.
So what was your? Your vantage point is as though you're like in that seat watching from there, right? That's what it looks like.
That's what it looks like. That's what I kind of thought, but it's actually like you're just watching it like you're watching it on TV.
Okay.
It's just the only difference is it's a little you're live as it's happening, kind of thing. So it's a lot. There's a delay. In other words, if you're watching it on USA, there's a pretty good delay between that and USA, but other than that, it's like you're watching TV. And then, like I said, the moderator will come on, like this. First of all, when I came back in right before Raw started, I got in, and I'll try to send you a picture here if I can. It's It was kind of on the same side, but on the kind. If you saw where that picture was, and you moved it over like to the side a little bit, like if you know where like where Cole and what's his name sits, like if you go to the right of where you're seeing that, where Cole and whoever's sitting there, like if you're looking at them when they're shooting the camera on them, I was like over their left shoulder, kind of up in in the corner over here in the right.
Well, that's
but still, yeah, and I was getting some good shots on that too, man. I mean, to be honest, and it was just funny because after getting knocked out and got back in, and I got another decent, place on there. But yeah, it was run very well. Once I got to that point, I stuck there, and everything was good. The stream was good. Nothing bad ever happened. And the moderator, like I said, would come on right when we would go to a break and say, "Okay, everybody, 3-minute break, 3-minute break," and I'd go to the bathroom or go get something to drink or something. Yeah. And then at the 1-minute mark, he would say, "Okay, everybody, 1 minute, let's get back in our seats. And, this is going to be Daniel Bryan. So make sure you're cheering." I know it's not Daniel Bryan, but whoever, and start cheering hard for him, cheer hard for him. So, they're cued to cheer. So when you see everybody cheering, the dude is on there saying, "Okay, everybody cheer hard." Or if it's somebody like Seth Rollins or something, "Okay, let's hear it. Let's boo real hard." I don't think he says to boo, but I don't think they're picking up the voices. It would be it's the booing sound effects that you hear like on Raw and SmackDown. Don't you think those are too clear to be people yelling in their damn computers?
I'd be shocked.
I know. That was like I know. So I didn't really fall for that. I was just doing this number all the time, the thumbs down, and, just playing along and whatever. But it was fun, man. It was kind of like really being there in a way. I mean, it was, just watching you getting some of those still shots. Like I just thought it was funny, man. It's like, because I just did it on a whim. I've never really had any desire to do it. I'm like, what the hell? Let's see what it's all about. I thought it was cool.
Would you do it again?
Yeah. Probably, but I think this time I would probably do it for SmackDown, just so I wouldn't have to do it for 3.5 hours. Toward the end, it got a little rough, because the light that I have coming in right here that I use to make it a little brighter in here, it got real hot after 3 hours. So, but yeah, I'd do it again for 2 hours for sure, man. I thought it was fun.
Did you try to look for yourself on Main Event?
Yeah, I think, as a matter of fact, that's the shot I gave you. That was a Main Event shot.
Oh, okay. But did you go to the program itself and see if you could see yourself?
Oh, no, I haven't done that yet. I meant to. I just never did.
Right.
And I meant to go back on Raw just to watch, not the whole thing again, but just kind of skim through it and look. But yeah, I got some really good shots. I tried to get the shots strategically. It's like this one shot. It's like I'm looking up, and it's like I'm looking up at Asuka on the top rope. It's perfect, man. I have to I'll send it to you. But yeah, it was fun, man. It's like I said, on a whim. I thought I lucked out. I jackpotted on that one.
That's nice. Here's a picture of some people that were sitting right next to you. I don't know if you saw these people right there. There they are.
No shit. Oh, no. Right. How did I not see that?
She's now known as Cassie. She calls herself like Cassie Lee.
Cassie Lee? Is that what it is?
And then, well, it looks like we got a brand new name for Billy Kay as well. What is Billy
Jessica? Jessica McKay, yeah.
Jessica McKay, and then of course there's Tenille. That's the Australian hotties right there. All three of them together. And Cassie apparently is going to continue on with her wrestling career, and the former Peyton Royce. She's going to be going somewhere, doing something. We don't know. Not really sure. So
Tenille's my real name. Bless her heart. I love her accent. Yeah.
Come on.
I don't do it justice. Come on.
Come on. Well, you're in a wrestle with Rachel Ellering. It's okay if you beat her, but please don't hurt her. She's one of our favorites. Come on.
Come on. And doggone it, man. It's like not too long after that, Rachel did get hurt.
It was, yeah. But she's back.
Not by Tenille, but
she's back. So that's a good thing.
Yes. Yeah. Back in champ. Half the tag team champs.
Yeah, that was quick. They pushed her immediately, so that's something else.
Yeah, good. They need to. She needs to be in the spotlight. Damn it!
Isn't that Daniel Bryan thing with Roman Reigns? Isn't that the best thing WWE has going by a mile
right
now?
It's yes. It's not even funny. It's funny you said that because I was going to say the same thing. Yes, absolutely.
That's the best storyline that WWE has, and I think second best is this Cameron Grimes versus Ted DiBiase thing over in NXT.
I was a little skeptical on that one at first. I'll be honest,
Right.
But now that it's played on a little bit, it's kind of grown on me.
It does. I mean, it bothers me a little bit because Ted DiBiase is such a massive piece of shit, and he ripped off all these people. He was, investigated for embezzlement. He's on the God, and it's like, well, yeah, let's give that guy a payday. But it makes sense in the time in the storyline and all that stuff. And then Trevor has made good use of it, and I think it's pretty funny. So I think those are the two best storylines, and everything else just sucks by the wayside, right? Everything is just terrible. Sami Zayn, his conspiracy theories, and whatever Seth Rollins is doing, and whatever we're doing with the Fiend, and all that other stuff is just such flotsam, right?
It is, man, and and honestly, I know we say this from time to time, but again, it's so tiresome to have to say that shit over and over again. But damn.
If they would have just done what we said years ago and turned Roman Reigns heel 4 years ago, they could have enjoyed all of this money well before all this stuff started, right?
And not only that, and I know you're kind of halfway kidding, but yeah, you're right. And not only that, just think of what that could have spawned off, what could have spawned off from that up until now. You never know. It could have maybe had somebody, as a like a Cesaro thing right now. Somebody get a boost that normally wouldn't have gotten a boost, and so yeah, I think they're a little late to the game on it for sure, but it's working. God dang, I love it. It is the best thing going.
And now, Daniel Bryan in storyline. In case you missed it on Friday night, he's been banished from the Smacky Downing. Can't be on the Smacky Downing anymore. They're going to wiggle out of it somehow. He's going to continue to be a thorn in Roman Reigns' side. So I think that all of that's working really well. And, it was only a few months ago we were like, geez, I wonder if Daniel Bryan wonders if he came back for this because he was wrestling in a prelim match in a pay-per-view.
Right. So, yeah, I don't you think, though, isn't it kind of obvious he's going to end up on Raw or I don't know, NXT. I can't believe he'd be at NXT, but
no, well, they would be foolish to put him in NXT. He would be amazing on NXT, but I don't think that's where he needs to be.
No.
Oh, and you heard the story about the NHL thing, right?
But the NBC thing?
Yeah,
the TNT?
Turner comes in at the last moment with the bid, and now it's going to be on Turner, and now it's like, well, we don't know, if AEW Dynamite's going to continue to be on Wednesday nights now. We don't know because they're going to have to fit some NHL content somewhere on that channel. And, it's funny how that kind of turned around, right?
Yeah, and I'll be honest, man. I don't really know what else is on TNT right now. I know I don't know if it's just the same old stuff it used to be with movies and like ER and whatever. I don't know. I really don't know. But I don't see how they couldn't, take something off for the NHL with some of that shit. And I may be wrong. You know more about the rating stuff than I do, but I just can't imagine some of that stuff being missed. I mean, it's movies we've all seen 100 times, TV shows we've all seen 100 times. So
in terms of original content on that channel, they're not doing it. Doesn't seem like a lot right now. So I'm not.
Yeah, didn't they do Rizzoli and Isles? What happened? Come on, guys.
Rizzoli and Isles. Leverage or whatever the name of that series was.
Leverage, yeah.
I don't think that's on anymore, but that's how it goes.
Right.
But there's some speculation they're going to have to fit the NHL content in somewhere, and Turner paid a lot of money for it. I know that there's some speculation that some of that stuff's going to go on HBO Max, so you can stream some stuff on HBO Max eventually. But the guy, I understood that the guy who championed AEW Dynamite as a thing, he was fired last year. So they don't have him anymore, maybe even earlier this year, but they don't have him anymore to be a champion, but they continue to get those impressive demographic ratings, those 18 to 49 numbers that still continue to do very well. So I don't, unless they have that mindset that they just don't want to have wrestling on their channel because it's such low rent programming. I don't think that exists. I think that did exist. Obviously, I'm going through the 20th anniversary of WCW being sold. They're doing a whole deep dive on that in between the sheets on their Patreon. And the spoiler alert, after about 20 hours of original programming by those guys, by Bix and Span and by Zellner, is that it was going to happen anyway, and it didn't matter. They just went through a lot of machinations over the Turner Corporation to to go through a bunch of shit saying, well, no, Eric's going to buy it. No, this might happen. And eventually it was going to end up exactly the way it ended up.
Yeah. I mean, I think it was so transparent. I think even back then, I think you and I could even see shit was just by watching it. You didn't have to read about it. You just watch it and go, this shit's horrible. Something that, it was so
the final
obvious.
the final blow on that whole thing was when they said we're not going to have the content on our channel. And that's when the price of that, went from whatever, 100 million to 50 million to 10 million to 2. That's when it went to nothing. It's like, here comes Vince at the junkyard sale and just knocks it down. Now I'll just take this leftover here. Thank you, boys. And
we'll see you.
All these years later, he's got the tape library, which can't be aired on Peacock because Peacock sucks, but that's another story entirely, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I tell you, I don't know. I still like the Saturday Night Live content that you can get on there from the old days.
It is nice. It definitely is nice to have all that stuff on there. Let's see.
Have you watched the preview for the Pillman on Dark Side of the Ring yet?
I have. I'm very intrigued, and I know you were a huge fan. What are your impressions as you look at it?
I loved it, man. I can't wait for part 2. But I knew it was going to be kind of a bittersweet thing for me. I've loved Pillman ever since I knew who the freak he even was. And I've said this 1,000 times, it seems like, but back when he was getting ready to debut on WCW, and they showed that package of him with, God dang, it was not Hysteria by, I think it's Animal, maybe by Def Leppard playing in the background, and him flying the helicopter. And I think it was showing footage from maybe back in Stampede days or something, but it was, and I was like, God dang, this dude looks pretty bad, man. Said something about him playing with the Bengals. So he had a little clout, little NFL clout there. And, he knew he was some gifted athlete and that sort of thing. And then lo and behold, he gets here and does what he does. I'm like, I love calling, saying I think I'm going to like this dude. And God dang, not only did I like him, he's my favorite wrestler probably of all time. He really is overall. I would say so. Yes. So
you dug him even from like the Flying Brian character. You were into him back then.
God, yes. Yeah. When he was, an Adam Cole type baby face, he wasn't really that. I didn't think he was all that edgy at all. I mean, now at first he didn't seem that way. And just I don't know if it was a subtle turn, but I think it was a subtle turn, because he kind of made the heel turn with Austin and the Hollywood Blondes thing. And he wasn't really that crazy then, but you could kind of see it coming out, and it just kind of evolved from there. So I loved it, man. I feel like part 2 is going to get me though, when the whole him dying and shit.
I understand it's 2 hours. I think it's going to be 2 hours coming up this Thursday. Yeah.
Yeah. So and if you watched it, we just watched part 1.
Yeah.
So we only have to watch part 2.
I think it's going to be absolutely remarkable. Dave Meltzer was revealing this week on Twitter and some other places. He said that Terry Funk had a big part to play in the loose cannon character.
I believe it.
Yeah. It's a good picture of Flying Brian from the early days there.
Yeah, man. That is early days. That definitely looks like right when he first got to WCW for sure. Maybe even before that, I can't tell.
God, the ineptitude of WCW overall can be illustrated in a number of ways with the fact that they broke up that Hollywood Blondes team when that was just money. Oh my God.
I think, and the funny thing is, they just kind of stumbled onto that shit being gold,
They did. And those two guys are awesome together. You have those guys as a tag team forever, and then you break them up and they try to beat the shit out of each other. And my God, who doesn't pay for that? Take my money now, right?
Right. Oh my God. And the shit that it led to is just crazy. It's just crazy to think about that shit now. But
the way that he worked everybody there in that loose cannon thing, and he got Eric Bischoff to give him a release and all that stuff. I mean, that's never going to be done again. That is a tremendous story that needs to be heard, because I don't even know, I don't even know if some of the old timers who were back, working in the territory days in the 70s and stuff would ever believe that somebody was able to work a promoter that much to get him a real release. Now, in order to make this look good, Eric, you need to really release me. You need to really release it. And he really did it.
Showing him that paper would be great.
It's like he was really released and he got a better deal than. Oh,
I mean, if that was really the case, he could have signed some stupid piece of shit fake thing, and nobody would have known if he held it up on TV. Who would have known that? It's like when I signed those contract signings. Yeah,
exactly. That would have been exactly what it was like. So it's very. I don't know. Oh, they've got a poster for main event now. Gulak against Akira Tozawa, apparently. Was that the main event on main event?
Yeah. I caught the very end of that one, or I caught some of that one. I can't remember if it was beginning or end, but that was one of the ones. Maybe that was the first. Maybe I did get to see two matches. That one, because I do remember seeing that match, and then the. Who was it you said? Akira and Ricochet?
Drew Gulak.
Oh, Gulak, yeah. Yeah, I forgot about that one. I guess I did see that one. But Ricochet was also in there, and I forgot who. I don't remember who that was, but yeah.
Back over Akira Tozawa, 9 minutes and 13 seconds, according to the Wrestling Observer website. Mustafa Ali defeats Ricochet in 5 minutes and 50 seconds.
Mustafa Ali.
As Ricochet continues to be persona non grata when he was the hottest thing in wrestling, like in 2019.
Unbelievable, man.
Holy shit, he was pushed to the moon, and then all of a sudden COVID hit, and it just took him out too.
God dang. Just let him go too. I mean, shit. Let him do something good.
That's some funny shit.
He needs to see. I think he needs to be in AEW, to be honest. I think AEW fits him more than fucking WWE does.
The writer writes on WrestlingObserver.com. He writes of Ricochet and Ali and Tozawa and Drew Gulak. It must be fairly galling for these four that their work here, that is pretty much a limited viewership, was easily better than everything on this week's Raw.
It was good. I remember. Yeah, I remember the Ricochet match for sure.
Getting eyeballs on their work is not getting any easier with it already behind a paywall in the U.S. and certainly unavailable in the U.K. Catch this if you can, as it's a totally watchable show. That's about the only thing you can say about WWE product, man. It's watchable, right?
It's watchable.
Like
it's like a chef being told his food's edible. Well, your food's edible.
That's exactly what my stepfather would tell my mom, and he wasn't even being a smartass or anything. He just didn't. He was just like, you got to understand. He liked food and stuff, but he goes, yeah, it was edible, and it was like.
Thanks.
You couldn't say it was delicious. You couldn't say it was wonderful. You couldn't say it made your taste. No, it's just like it was edible. And that's all. That's the only thing you can say of WWE programming these days is that it's watchable. That's about all you got.
Watchable. Yeah, at best.
Let me refresh myself on the things that happened on AEW Dynamite. What were your impressions of Dynamite this week?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to refresh that too.
Well, the one of the main things was the parlay in the middle of the ring between.
Oh, that yeah.
The pinnacle and the inner circle there.
That was okay. A couple of those, I'm a mark for a good damn promo. So a couple of those guys, like, have to admit, Kviaa had a pretty good mic run there. I liked him, and then was it Hager? Didn't Hager say some shit too?
Hager was so subversive because he's right at the end of the line. He's farthest away from the camera, and the whole time he's like, yeah, man, you want to kick? I want to kick your ass. I can't. And he's like saying shit like that to whoever was on the other side of him. And I don't know if it was Spears or who it was, but and you could tell that he's like talking shit like, hey, your mom makes a nice sandwich. She really does.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, your dog's fucking inbred, probably gonna die in like 6 days. I mean, he was like, you could tell he was talking shit like that. And you're right, Kviaa like did a great job, but then it was just weird that the heel team is the one that's so stupid. He's like, hell, we'll give up the advantage. We'll go 1-on-2. And I'm like, wait, what? Wait,
what? Hang on, what
is that really? I don't know if that's should we be. I'm not really sure. How do you stand on this idea? Because they've been having some discussions about this, and there's been going back and forth. It's like faction here, faction here, faction here, faction here over in AEW, and basically the Young Bucks are like, and I think Cody to an extent was like, shut the fuck up. They have factions all over the place in New Japan, and that shit draws. But
Not really. It does. It does draw.
New Japan is like a whole different animal. I mean, and they had that one thing a couple of weeks ago where Meltzer said there were 60 different human beings on that program in 1 week, and you can't get anybody over if you have 60 human beings that you're trying to get some sort of action. You just can't. So what is your take on Faction Palooza over on Wednesday nights?
I don't like it. I mean, I like a good faction. Don't get me wrong, but you can get saturated with anything, man. And I just feel like that's all it is. That's it's just too many of them, and it's really like that in WWE and to an extent, especially like NXT with the way and all that crap
Undisputed Era.
I guess what's left of that. I don't know if that even exists anymore. What's the one from UK, NXT UK, the three guys? Walter and all those.
Right. I can't remember what they're called, but I know what you're talking about.
But and you just probably think there's a couple more, but I just think you can get saturated with it. I used to. Correct me if I'm wrong, but back when there was the Hart Foundation and shit like that you didn't have faction. You had like maybe some tag teams like Midnight Express and name teams like that, but that's been forever. I'm talking about group factions.
Babyface factions are not. I'm trying to think of good babyface factions because it's always been a non-babyface things because babyfaces are always like we can take care of things by ourselves, but if I get in trouble, I can call out to my friend from blank territory and bring him on board, and he's got my back.
He's got my back, yeah.
If Wahoo needed somebody to help him out, he would get somebody to help him out. Or if Boogie Woogie needed somebody, he'd grab somebody to help him out, like a Manny Fernandez or somebody to have his back. But as far as having a babyface faction, that's kind of unusual.
I'm trying to think, man. Now, I think that some of the babyface factions, I think they ended up being baby faces, but I think they initially started out as heel factions, like the Hart Foundation, like the Four Horsemen. Yeah. Four Horsemen was kind of all over the place, really, but they definitely started out as a heel faction. But
they were cheered like baby faces. The Four Horsemen were.
Yeah, and so they kind of had to fall into the baby face category there after a while, but I'm sitting here thinking, man, I'm sure there's probably somebody, but obviously it wasn't anybody too prominent. I guess we would think of them. I would think. I would hope.
See, I can go for like Inner Circle and Pinnacle, but I don't think we need a Team Taz. I certainly don't.
Yeah, that's enough. Yeah.
I don't think we need a Dark Order. I just don't think
the Nightmare faction thing.
The guys
QT Marshall.
Talk to me about QT Marshall because I don't see it. I just don't see the star power there or any of that shit. I don't understand what they see in that guy at all. I
don't either. Honestly, I liked him better when he was on Impact a few years ago and went by QT Marshall.
He's a perfectly fine mid-level guy, but I don't need to know that you need to like have him turn and lay Cody out and Cody's out of action like for all this time. Cody finally came back on Wednesday. I don't think
how'd you like that? The bus thing.
I'm okay with it. I mean, there's a couple of things that really work on AEW Dynamite. Obviously, it's going to be Chris Jericho and Max Friedman just fucking cutting promos against each other, and Eddie Kingston and John Moxley just running around and breaking shit. If you got that on the show, it's kind of hard to fuck it up because they did.
I got to tell you, those two are my favorite right now. I was just going to say Moxley and Kingston are my two favorite on there right now. I think
those guys just. I mean, and the way that they came together after that stupid angle, after the thing didn't explode and all that shit.
Yes.
For them to make chicken salad out of that chicken shit just tells you how good those guys are.
I think that's what turned me on to them because it's, I thought it was cool at first, and then that whole thing happened, like you said, and then just the way they got out of it, I'm like, I can respect that, and I like them anyway. So hell yeah,
it is
kick ass.
We open up AEW Dynamite with Hangman Page versus Brian Cage. The Team Taz. Wait a minute. Team Taz comes in and power bombs Page on the stage before Dark Order chases them off, and then we start the match. And Hangman Page over Brian Cage. Wait a minute. No, Brian Cage defeated Hangman
I was
Page
going to
via
say, I
pinfall.
don't.
That's what I
Yeah,
was going to
yeah.
say. And I don't know what they've been trying to do with Brian Cage as of late, but he doesn't seem to have a lot of heat on him then, but that was a pretty good win for him.
Yeah, yeah. I thought he was going to, get out of Team Taz with all those things going on, but they didn't really allude to that this week.
Now, this is where the artists formerly known as the Bullet Club are really kind of getting me. They had him in the limousine and stuff, and they're making fun, and they go, they go, hey, we're not scared of anything. And they hear a noise, and then Kenny spills his water all over the place. And like, and the guy, the limo driver goes, oh, I'm sorry, I just hit a bump or something. I thought that was fantastic. And then Carl's got his like leather shorts on or something. They're making fun of him for the leather shorts. See, that kind of comedy I can really get into. I thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah, yeah. Sometimes Good Brothers are funny. Sometimes, I don't think they're funny every single time, but I think they're humorous. When they're humorous, they're fucking hilarious, man.
They really are.
To me. Yeah,
Young Bucks over the Sydal brothers. The Young Bucks haven't lost a match, it seems like, in a while, at least on this program. And it seems like they're keeping a lot of their heat, and it makes a lot of sense for them to keep on winning. Then Jade Cargill cut a promo. She doesn't need a manager. She is that bitch, which, by the way, should probably just be her T-shirt. Jade Cargill, I am that. And then you can X out bitch or whatever, even though
with the stars or whatever. Yeah.
They love to curse on that show. They love to say bitch
they do,
shit and everything. So, go ahead and
kids.
Put it on your T-shirt. It made sense for Paul White's T-shirt to say no more BS. I get it, because if you say no more bullshit, that doesn't make any sense, but whatever.
Right. It's up to you. You can figure it out either way,
Penta El Zero Miedo, whatever the fuck it is, against Orange Cassidy. What are they doing with Trent? Why does Trent have a question mark after his name? And when he's introduced, he's introduced as Trent?
I noticed that. I don't know what that's all about.
I always felt that guy was an amazing worker and stuff. And even when he was in that tag team with Ricky Romero, when they were Roppongi Vice, I thought they were fantastic. But I don't know. For some reason, he's kind of, I'm going to compare him to a Chris Hero type. He's this guy whose work is always pretty good. He's always looks like he's ready to go to that next level, but he never kind of gets over,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. He, I was trying to think, was he in ROH? Did we ever see him in ROH? Seemed like we saw him somewhere.
Yeah, if he did, he would have been on loan from New Japan, I think.
New Japan, okay.
Yeah, I think he was on their TV, because I remember him and Rocky Romero having a hell of a tag match.
Yes.
Probably 3 or 4 years ago on ROH TV, and it was like one of the better tag matches of the year that you would ever see on television.
And even back then, I'm like, this dude might be for real, because I was like, I'm like you, heard all this stuff about him, and caught him here and there, but never really saw him. And then when we saw him, I'm like, damn it, he might be, turn out to be one of these guys that just kind of comes out of nowhere, but he'll be big one day. But I don't know. I guess he's pretty big right now, but I don't know. I'm just kind of questioning the whole mother driving a van, Marcus Alexander Bagwell kind of shit, and I don't know.
They're getting way on the weeds on that whole situation.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know that whole question mark thing. I don't know what that's all about.
Following the dissolution of Rocky Romero's previous tag team, the Forever Hooligans, due to retirement of his partner, Alex Kozlov, this is in 2015, Romero announced Ring of Honor's 13th anniversary show. He'll be forming a tag team known as Roppongi Vice with Trent Beretta, with the stated goal of challenging then current ROH World Tag Team Champions Red Dragon for the title.
Red Dragon. I remember that. Remember who that was?
Was it Fish and O'Reilly?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So do you know why when they stylized it, they said under like lowercase r, lowercase e, capital D, capital R, lowercase AGON? Do you remember why they did it that way?
There was a story. I want to say it was some. I have to look it up, but yes, I do remember this. Almost.
Because Kevin Kelly told this story. I heard him tell this story.
Something about one of their buddies. It was like a ode to one of their buddies. Somehow it's like an inside joke kind of thing.
They were going after Davey Richards.
Davey Richards. Okay.
So maybe the DR was cap. That's like they were supposed to be his kryptonite.
Of the Wolves.
Yep. In their debut on the ROH Conquest Tour, Roppongi Vice defeated the Decade March the 13th of 2015. The following day, won an instant reward proving ground match against Red Dragon, only to lose a subsequent match for the championship at Global Wars 15, Roppongi Vice competed in a 3-way against the Addiction and the Decade on May the 15th in a 6-man tag team match alongside Kazuchika Okada against Bullet Club representatives AJ Styles and the Young Bucks. God, I should go back and watch this stuff. On May the 16th, they lost both matches. July the 24th, Roppongi Vice were defeated by the Briscoes at Death Before Dishonor 13. I think that was supposed to be a tremendous match. I think that was supposed to be so good.
What year was that?
This would have been 2015, yeah. March the 14th of ROH tapings, they won a 7-tag team gauntlet to determine the number 1 contender for the ROH World Tag Team Championship by defeating the Young Bucks after entering the match as the 17th. March 10th at the 15th anniversary show, Roppongi Vice was unsuccessful against the Hardys. This would have been 2017 at a Las Vegas street fight for the ROH World Tag Team Championship. The Young Bucks were also involved in that. Golly. That's going to be such it's already weird that we're looking nostalgic for those times when New Japan and indie wrestling was so hot, that 2015 through 2018 period.
Yeah.
That ended up giving us this show known as AEW, this promotion known as AEW and AEW Dynamite, when the Bullet Club was running rampant and you were getting, it was so exciting because you would see like those wrestling merch, all that wrestling merch, Hot Topic and shit like that.
Yeah. Yes.
That was just such a weird and interesting. I think there's already kind of a book that's been written about that indie explosion from 2014, 2015 to 2018, and about them doing their own pay-per-view in Chicago and all that stuff.
Right.
It was a pretty special time, and it's weird that we're already nostalgic for it because it's only been a few years ago, but we are, because those were very interesting times. It was one of those deals.
Well, after 2020, things in the years before that seem a lot further away than they really are. Kind of like things in the rearview mirror kind of shit, you know? It just because 2020 was such a long decade.
Almost every veteran you talk to, whether it's a guy like The Undertaker, people like Bret Hart, anybody, they will tell you the talent that they have at the main roster in WWE is as good as it's ever been. I mean, as far as
absolutely
athletic ability, the stuff that these guys can do. So it always makes you want, it always makes you wonder what the problem is. The problem, of course, is these idiotic storylines and having everything scripted by these guys that really don't understand pro wrestling all that well.
Right. And you'd think by now they would learn that lesson, man, you know?
And then crazy ass Vince doing whatever Vince does, trying to prove whatever it is he's trying to prove to anybody.
Letting Jericho come on Austin's show. I mean,
I'm
glad he did. I enjoyed most of it or whatever, but it's like, why would he do that and then do some of the other shit that he does? It just makes no sense now. He's just so fucking borderline psychotic or something. I don't know.
Don't you think they need to work the returning somebody's shit to him in a trash bag? Don't you think they need to do that in an angle somewhere? Don't you think that's like Vince's ultimate thing? All right, here it is. I'm gonna have you break up. This is what's gonna happen. God damn it. What do I do? Alexa, you're gonna break up with the Fiend, and you give him his stuff back in a hefty bag. God, that was great shit. Write it down, Bruce. Write it down. Write this shit down. God damn it.
Have Lily take it to the Fiend in a trash bag.
God damn it. Here you go, Fiend. Here's your shit. Here's your shit. Take it. Take it. You're emasculated. He's gonna pew. Penta El Zero Miedo versus Orange Cassidy, and Orange Cassidy ends up winning with a lot of interference and stuff. Pretty good match.
Yeah, I enjoy him, but I tell you what, I'm sorry, but I'm tired of the whole Zero Miedo. I'm tired of that. It's like it's driven into my freaking skull, and I'm just tired of it.
But that translator of his, that guy's amazing.
How about that? How about that guy?
That guy's incredible. He takes a hell of a bump, and he's a total prick, and he's exactly what he needs to be. That guy, he was able to get over in like 2 weeks. I don't know how he did it, but he's able to get over that guy. There's just there's either a charisma or he's been in the business before and he kind of knows how to get over whatever. That guy got over like in 5 seconds, right?
Right.
Oh, geez, I love that. I mean, that guy needs to be selling T-shirts at AEW shop right now.
And then there's Reginald.
Yeah, that ain't happening.
Oh my God,
just ain't happening, right?
Just compare the two. It's just amazing.
Compare and contrast.
Yeah,
Tony
not hard.
Schiavone talks to Dr. Shit Taker DMD. She's thrilled to be ranked number 1. Talks about her greatness. She was signed to be the AEW Women's Champion. She's another one. It's like she's a heel, but she's going to get a lot of cheers because she's so cool. Like
I love her, man. God dang.
There's some funny shit on there. Parlay time. Each team brings out their security detail. Inner Circle is on tricked out Harleys. Schiavone starts to run down the details of the proceedings, concluding that there will be a coin toss for blood and guts advantage. Sean Spears slaps the coin out of his hand and says Pinnacle gets the advantage because they were tricked into the match. He asks Sammy Guevara how long it's been since he wrestled. He says Chris Jericho is leading him into deep waters, but he'll be there to step on his head and drown him. Sammy responds, gives Pinnacle the advantage, says he'll start the damn match so he can fight anyone. All right. FTR is next. They beg Santa and Ortiz not to bring the soft versions of themselves because they've been hanging with Jericho, because if they do, they won't make it out. PNP almost snaps and attacks when Dax Harwood mentions their kids, but they stay calm. And then Max, he puts over how important Jericho was to the start of AEW. He says he put together one of the greatest groups in wrestling, but he can't imagine how much pressure Jericho must be under. We see it every week when Le Champion comes out with bloodshot eyes. But next week he'll do the humane thing and put Jericho down, take his spot, and make his family he makes his family the greatest group in pro wrestling. You know, it's hard to really keep in mind that MJF is what, 24 years old?
Yeah. Yeah.
He's half of Jericho's age. Jericho is old enough to be his father, and he's out there standing toe-to-toe with that guy, cutting promos that are just as good as Chris Jericho.
It's amazing, man.
God.
I mean, Dude, unless, barring some God forbidden injury or something, Dude will be around another 20, 25 years, man, doing this shit.
I hope so. I mean, you can imagine him like many, many years from now being in that whole situation where he's in the Chris Jericho role, right?
Yeah. Oh, God, yeah. He'll be in the Chris Jericho role before Chris Jericho was.
Exactly. That's going to be amazing.
That's saying something.
So they were able to, let me see what the conclusion of it is. They were able not to have each other brawl at the end of it, which was very important, and I thought that was really good.
Yes.
Michael knocking it off and get off my TV.
I thought about you when I showed it.
When Eddie Kingston comes out, he's not here for the sports entertainment crap. He wants Omega. That brings out the champ, who talks at Eddie while Nakazawa attacks from behind with his laptop. That whole thing, wasn't that one where Nakazawa was like dressed up as a cameraman or something?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, it's weird.
Kingston fights that off and gets ready to Pillmanize Nak's ankle. Kenny tells him he can do it and then calls for another goon, Brandon Cutler. Cutler is already beaten up, and that's because Moxley's kicking his ass. That guy was crawling out on stage. That was really fun.
Yeah, I didn't know what the hell was going on with that. He's kind of come tumbling out of there and like,
here he comes, and he's like crawling. I'm like, is that his gimmick that he can't walk? Because that's pretty cool.
I guess. Different.
Mox helps Kingston take down Omega. They threaten to break the champ's ankle if Callis doesn't give him a tag match, and the Invisible Hand does agree. Now, I'm going to say, as much as I've criticized Don Callis, this was pretty good. And you see the payoff the night before on Impact when everybody's pissed off at Scott D'Amore and they want to know what he's going to do about getting them a shot at the Impact title. Did you see all that?
No, I didn't see that.
Yeah, the whole locker room's lined up like, I want to know what you're going to do about it. I know what you're going to do about it. He finally tries to.
Hold on a second. So the whole locker room's pissed off at Scott D'Amore for letting the title get away?
That's what it is.
Oh, God. Okay.
It's actually pretty rich. And then you got D'Amore against Callis. So those two guys going against each other is actually fairly interesting.
Yeah, that is a weird little. It should be good. I mean, on paper it looks kind of good, but we'll see.
Chris Statlander against Penelope Ford. God, the camera loves Penelope Ford.
Good for the camera. So do I.
I'm telling you right now, Penelope, the way the camera loves her is very much like the way it used to love Stacy back in '99. I think.
Yeah.
Or even Tori, I would say 98, 99, when they would put the camera on those guys on Nitro,
she didn't have a bad shot.
No, that camera would explode. It was like there was a filter, but those girls didn't need filters.
No, that's what's so amazing about those. And I'll say it again, man. I cannot believe I just didn't know who she was, man. When she was standing there a couple of years or so ago at WrestleCade, and I'm like, I just passed by her because they get a lot of the female wrestlers in from the Queens of Combat stuff, and I just don't know some of those girls. I'm sorry. I don't mean it in a disrespectful way. I just never heard of them.
Right.
And next thing you know, it's like Penelope Ford just blows the fuck up, and I'm like, oh my God, that's who that was.
Absolutely. I think she and Scarlett are on that same kind of level as far as just when they're on screen, you have to look at them.
Yes.
I don't think there's any question that they're both breathtakingly beautiful, and they've got a certain charisma, and the way they carry themselves is just so interesting. And those two people, to me, among people like Mandy Rose or somebody like that, I think they're just so far ahead of the game in terms of everything to me.
Oh yeah. And I wasn't a huge fan of her, but I'll even throw in Rena Miro. I think she, there wasn't really a bad shot of her ever.
There was a time,
and
the way that they booked her and the way they set her up and stuff, she was absolutely presented as a huge star. Exactly the way that she was presented on television is exactly the way that the two Vinces thought about her. She was a sexual fantasy that was put on earth to please men, and both of those guys believed that, and that's how she was presented, and that's how she acted. And she made a lot of money doing that for a while.
Yeah, absolutely. She might be the poster girl for that.
Absolutely. What else happened? Oh, Chris Statlander gets Penelope Ford. Statlander defeats Penelope Ford in a pinfall. And apparently Kip won't address Miro on the show because we go right to the video of what Brody Lee meant to Ten to hype the main event. Factory against the Nightmare Family, and the Factory does end up defeating the Nightmare Family. Things break down in the aftermath, and this Coromato fellow has really come out of nowhere over the past couple of weeks, yes?
Yeah, that's the dude that looks like the big bushy beard and
the Bruiser Brody guy.
Yeah, Bruiser Brody guy. Yeah, him.
He looks like 21st century Bruiser Brody is what
he does, like. Man. That dude's. I didn't realize how big that dude was, man.
He's
broad he was. Like a stump kind of thing.
And just in a couple of weeks, he has really gotten my attention. I think the attention of a lot of the fans on that show, people who like AEW wrestling. He's got he was the one that no-sold the chair shots.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
It's amazing.
What about is a go-go? I wonder why he's not. Is he hurt? I wonder why they're just saving him for a special time or something.
A go-go was involved in this, but I don't know exactly what's going on there.
He punched one of those dudes in the stomach, like Billy Gunn, I think, in the stomach or something. But he's not been in a match yet. He's kind of like Wardlow was.
That's another. It's another faction, the Gun Club.
Yes,
it's like how many? God, it's just like there's no individual performers. Hangman's the only one who's like an individual performer, and they're trying to pull him this way and that way and the other way.
I know. I mean, he kind of has a Dark Order on him, on his side, and all. Yeah, I know.
The best. If you're gonna just do the faction thing, the best thing to do with Hangman at this point is just have him join up with Moxley and Kingston. He would fit in with those guys. They could be the. They could be the three-legged stool, or I don't know what you would want to call them, but you could call them something.
Yeah.
Call them the triple threat. Yeah. Hey, Paul Lee, how you doing?
Yeah. How's it going?
Rundown for the card next week. Announcement that the Forbidden Door is opening again, and Mox will defend the IWGP US title against Yuji Nagata May the 12th. Darby Allin takes on 10. Darby Allin defeats 10 via pinfall. Show of respect from Allin as he holds up the Brody armband and the champ and the 10 hug. Page is back, but Sting chases him off. Does Sting do anything in this promotion besides accompany Darby Allin to the ring and point at people?
No. He did get on the mic and cut a good promo against what's his face the other night against the Murder Hawk.
Oh yeah,
yeah. But other than that, yeah, he's just pointing and hanging out and. Basically hanging around the ring and shit like he was in WCW in the rafters, except he's just ringside instead of in the rafters.
I guess superfan Tony Khan is just so into recreating that he's going to pay the guy to do that sort of shit, right?
Yeah, maybe we can have the Lex Express next.
That worked out really well.
Mm-hmm.
That was a good thing. I'm going to put this screenshot up there if people are watching here in just a second. Mick Foley calls out Vince McMahon to create an all-women's brand in World Wrestling.
I saw that.
That was a tweet that he put out this week. Mick Foley was on the Twitter machine calling out Vince McMahon, who always responds well to this sort of stuff.
Well, what do you expect?
So I'm not sure what the impetus of all this is. We'll get into some of the details of it in just a second. There's the article right there. That's the Wrestling Inc. version of it. WWE Hall of Famer Mick Foley took to Twitter today. This is from last week with a message for WWE Chairman and CEO Vince McMahon. Foley, who is not shy about being a fan of the women's division, tweeted McMahon and called on him to create an all-women's brand in the WWE. And unless he wants AEW to beat him to it. Dear God. If your impetus is to create a women's brand because AEW is going to beat him to it with the pitiful women's division that AEW has shown in the year and a half that they've been on the air, don't worry about it. That's not going to be any kind of motivation at all, I don't think. Sorry. I mean, they've got a few good performers in there, but they don't have an entire division that's any good. The women's matches on there, I think, have been brutally not like some of the worst stuff on AEW ever since the beginning. How long did it take? It took a solid year for them to get Britt Baker over.
Yeah. Well, okay. Well, we do have, like we were just saying a few seconds ago about the Iconics possibly coming in, and that would, I don't know if that would boost it up. I mean, I guess everybody has their opinion about those two, but I don't know. If you're looking for like entertainment part, they would be great. Wrestling part, I'm not that sure. I'm not real sold on them still on that end yet. They weren't bad, I don't think, to me, but I don't think if they did come in, they're not going to come in and light it up or anything for AEW if they do come. But I don't know, man. I do think they've come a long ways though with Hikaru Shida, with Britt Baker. Now, granted, you're right. They did take them a while to get Britt Baker fired up and going, like supposedly she was going to be when they first started. And they've got Penelope Ford. I think Ford's coming along just fine. They've got Thunder Rosa coming in and out.
Well, the best.
And now they got Jade Cargill.
I think Jade Cargill is the best homegrown success story they've got in that whole promotion when it comes to women's wrestling. Yeah,
and she's, I don't know how old she is. She looks fairly young, so I mean, right. she'll probably be around for a little bit. No, but WWE. I don't think they're any better. They've just got more females in there probably, but and then since they have more, they have more superstars, if you want to call it,
Oh yeah, Charlotte's one of the best women's performers of all time. Natty is in that same
category.
Yeah, she's fantastic. Mandy is good to look at, and she's gotten better with her in-ring work.
She's gotten a lot better.
Dana Brooke has gotten better. She's awesome to look at. As far as anybody,
Becky, whenever she comes back,
right? And I don't know.
And Shayna, I love Shayna Baszler still. I think Shayna's great. She needs to get away from Nia Jax. Shayna needs to be a singles wrestler. Shayna needs to go after the fucking one of the title, the women's title.
Tamina was getting over right around WrestleMania time.
I was watching her on was she on SmackDown? One of them, and she's not bad. She's not great, but she's pretty good. It's just I don't know. I think some of it's the writing. I'll throw some of that in their face again, but I don't know. I think they're just misusing some of these people, and I don't really know how long this Alexa Bliss thing you can run with it.
They've milked everything they can out of whatever character that is she's playing now. We need to go back to hot Alexa Bliss.
That's what I'm saying.
Dear Vince, an all-women's brand needs, all caps, to happen in WWE unless you want AEW beat you to the punch. Sincerely, Mick. And then he ats Vince McMahon. There has been no talk of WWE creating an all-women's brand. They held the first ever all-women's pay-per-view in 2018. And then I saw that Mickie James was saying that she was told that's never going to happen again. They're never going to have an all-women's pay-per-view ever again. But if they did...
Did they say why or did she say why or
she just was told that it wasn't going to happen. I gotta see that story. But if they do and they have some sort of tournament, the winner should get a trash bag.
Hefty presents the all women's WWE pay-per-view. Whatever it's called.
This is Mickie James. During the latest edition of Grown Ass Women podcast, Mickie James talked about a release from WWE and the incident with various belongings being sent in a trash bag. Mickie said the following about Mark Carrano. Okay, if they did an all-women's pay-per-view and Mark Carrano was your special referee, then I'm all for it. Sign me up for Peacock Triple Advantage Platinum Plus, whatever the hell it is. I don't know. I know it wasn't a direct thing. I empathize with Mark and feel bad he's taking the full brunt. It sucks, but I guarantee his pension package is far more than what I got paid in my last run. See, I'm going to stop her right there. If they ended up in his agreement firing him for cause, he doesn't get all that golden parachute stuff. He may have some shares of stock that they can't take away from him, but some of the terms that in his exit package that would have been lined up, if they ended up firing him for cause, which is what this would be, and they've got a lot better lawyers to figure that out than I do, then a lot of the money that would have been going in Mr. Carano's pocket will not be going into Mr. Carano's pocket.
I mean, yeah, you would think.
He was not happy in that situation. I'm pissed, and I don't want it to come across as angry, but it is a direct reflection of everything I've experienced in coming back. I was happy to take a back seat and take a trainer role. All I asked for was a curtsy out the door. I was never, I want one last run or I want to wrestle for the next 5 years. All I wanted was a little respect so it wouldn't feel like unfinished business. I felt because I was asking for this one thing, it was going to come with a price. I'm not saying that's from Vince because he's always been respectful to me. He called me on the phone and apologized for this incident and to let me know this wasn't what he thought of me. And again, I'm going to have to stop. If Vince McMahon, if you really believe that Vince McMahon was unaware that people were getting their shit sent back to him in trash bags, you're super full of shit. You're a bigger mark than I ever could have imagined myself being. I'm not saying that Vince would orchestrate it, but I'm also not saying he was well aware of it and he was okay with it. You know, I refuse to believe
until somebody like Mickey James called him out on it.
Exactly. Yeah, he goes on social media and everybody sees it, and then you have to, oh my God, I'm so sorry. We're going to fire that guy. He's out of here. Forget it. It's never going to happen again.
Yeah, I kind of have a hard time believing that too.
Mickey says, I tagged Vince because he needs to know there's a lot of stuff that happens under his nose that he is oblivious to because he's running a multi-billion-dollar company. Gotta stop again. If you are running a multi-billion-dollar company, you have people looking out for you and stooging to you all the time, and that company is full of stooges telling you all kind of stuff because they're a bunch of backstabbers trying to get a leg up on anybody they can. There are a bunch of Bruce Pritchards up there trying constantly, just like the cat that kills the bird out in the front yard and trots it back to you, giving you that present. That's Bruce Pritchard. She continues, the small-minded mentality sometimes leads to thoughtless behavior, especially for me to constantly be presented as old when I'm 41 years old and every single male champion has always been my same age or older and has been glorified for those same reasons. As they should be. They're amazing. Why is it different for women or for me? Ageism is a real thing and it's bullshit. I'm glad for the strides we've made to be seen as equal, but if it's not true for every person, it's unfortunate. I don't know why I was made to feel like I didn't deserve it. I did everything in my power to be a company girl. This reminds me of that last Gail Kim run, also in WWE, where she got shat on and put out the door too.
Right.
I mean, they were like saying it was because she was a sloppy worker or something like that.
And whatever.
She was summarily dismissed, right?
Yeah, but she knows. She's smart enough to know, and she let them have it in her own little way. So good for her.
James has now shared even more information about her time with WWE with GAW-TV. One of the biggest takeaways was James discussing her attempts to get women's wrestling a bigger spotlight in WWE. The six-time women's champion detailed how she attempted to lead an all-women's show in WWE, but that idea was quickly shot down. They're never going to do it, ever. Women's wrestling doesn't make money. WWE Evolution was the lowest-rated pay-per-view ever in WWE, James was told. It's unclear whether that is actually true, but it seems unlikely since it happened during the network era. The show was also celebrated by most fans as not only did it mark a historic first in the WWE, but it featured some terrific matches, including a match of the year candidate between Charlotte Flair and Becky Lynch. James didn't name who said this to her, but they added they didn't understand why she was fighting so hard for it, telling her to play the card she had been dealt. Whoever it was that said this to James, it is dealt a serious blow to the possibility of an Evolution 2. It has now been more than 2 years since the landmark show, and now fans have an insight as to why it has become and has not become an annual event. So there you go. She said it was completely shot down summarily, and they're just not going to do it. End of story, and just shut up and go to the back of the line.
Well, okay. I kind of get what Mick is saying here now that I'm sitting here trying to digest everything. But I also think that they have the talent to do so if they wanted to do it. But honestly, man, if it's going to be all about ratings, which we all know it is, everything on TV is all about ratings. It's not going to get ratings. And if they're going to go with the same writing that they're going with now, it would be horrible. I'm not talking about talent-wise. The talent is there if they wanted to do it.
It's the
I want to make that clear.
It's the following of the scripts and the storylines and all that other stuff.
Right. If we're going on what we're seeing right now in SmackDown and on Raw, how are those storylines convincing enough, not only to network officials or Vince or whoever, but just to you and I? They're not convincing enough for us to say, okay, I think a all women's show on some USA or whatever would go over great with the writing that they're dealing with now.
Yeah.
No.
Even with the writing that they're dealing with now, you were able to get a Ronda Rousey over when she came out, and a lot of that was because of that tremendous WrestleMania match when Triple H and Stephanie polished her up so well. You can't tell me that when Becky comes back and she's ready to come back, a match with her against Charlotte Flair, if you built it the right way, couldn't headline any pay-per-view. You couldn't tell me that when Ronda Rousey is ready to come back in a year's time or whatever, a match between her and Charlotte Flair, or a match between her and Becky Lynch, or a match between her and Sasha Banks, frankly, any of those matches could headline a pay-per-view.
You talking about a women's pay-per-view or just any pay-per-view?
I'd say any pay-per-view, but if you wanted to do a women's pay-per-view, that would be that's a huge main event. I could easily see how that would do. And then, the match that finished off night one of WrestleMania with Bianca Belair and Sasha Banks. That was a great match as well.
Yeah.
So you could probably do it. It would take some extra caution, but I think you're right. The whole stumbling block on this whole thing is those stupid writers.
Yeah, and again, let me say this as well. I think that if they had a yearly pay-per-view like they had, the all-women's pay-per-view, I think they could pull that over. Now, granted, I know you just said that it was the lowest rated one, and I know I'm kind of contradicting myself by saying this in a way, but if the writing was good and you could have good storylines built up for a yearly all-women's pay-per-view, I think it could be outstanding with the talent that's out there right now. But with the writing and the storylines that we're given, I just don't think it's there for even that, but I would love to see that all women's pay-per-view again. I think that would be great. I think it would be good for everybody.
Any closing thoughts on another award-winning edition of Katie Vick is Alive?
I just got a like from Jeff Cobb on my comment.
Jeff Cobb.
Yeah.
That motherfucker is stud. I love that dude.
Dude, we need to see him and Samoa Joe show up at the same time in AEW. Would that not be the shit?
That's going to be amazing. That would. Oh my god, a match between those two.
Or having them as a tag team and then turn on each other. Oh, see, look this. How's my territory doing?
Brian is followable on Instagram and on Twitter, where you can ask him how his territory is doing. At Bry Sports, BRY Sports. You can get him on TikTok, Stanley Jackson 23. The show is on Twitter at Katie Vick Alive. I am on Twitter at Britt Whitmire, BRITTWHITMIRE. On Instagram, it's BDub4 Reels, BDUB, the number 4, REELZ. And if you'd like to support what we do, shop at our Amazon store, which is katievick.com. That's katievick.com. Until next time, fans, we'll see you ringside.